I just want to say to you kids in the front who are dressed so smartly today and look fantastic, that what I'm going to say now is really to you. It's to you I'm speaking, so I hope you're going to be listening. Those others behind you, they can listen if they want, but really I'm only speaking to you. I remember very clearly the occasion when I received communion for the first time, even though it happened almost 50 years ago. At the time, I was 11 years old and about to go to high school. The service took place on a warm summer evening, and like you gathered here for your first communion, I was sitting in the front row of the church, on this side I think, I know, with a group of other young people who had been prepared by the priest for this moment. As it happens, the priest was also my dad. In fact, I can remember that day a bit like the first time I was a server and the first time I went to school. It was a very momentous occasion. So I hope that those of you gathered in the front row today will remember this day for the rest of your lives. You already picked part of the church. You became part of the church when you were baptized. Now, many of us don't remember our baptism, although we may have seen photographs of the occasion, because we're usually babies or small children when this happens. But today, you will remember, because you're making a statement of who you are as a follower of Jesus of Christ by receiving communion for the very first time. Over the last few weeks, you've been preparing for this occasion by attending those sessions with Diane. She's helped you better understand what your faith means. But this is not where the teaching and the learning ends. There are some people in church today who are even older than I am. Some of them even 20 or 30 years older than me. And they're still learning. I'm not going to ask them to stand up. For in the Christian faith, we're always learning, always trying to be followers of Christ in the best way that we can. The first reading that we heard helps us learn about what it means to be a Christian, a follower of Jesus Christ. And although coming to church on Sunday is important, it isn't the only thing that's expected of us as Christians. First, as that reading tells us, we have to love one another. Mutual love, says the reading, which means loving not just those people who are kind and nice to you. We're also asked to look after people that we don't know. So if a person is new to church, it would be great if someone goes and says hello to them. That's something that we could all do. We're also encouraged not to worry about the love of money. In other words, our lives should not consist only about thinking about money. Because the thing is, when we have money, we're never quite happy or satisfied. Because however much money we have, we always want more. And lastly, in that first reading, God promises to us that God will always be with us. So we can say with trust, "The Lord is my helper, I will not be afraid." And as followers of Christ, we're called to trust God and not to worry about anything. The Gospel passage was very interesting in light of today's celebration, because it talks about Jesus attending a meal and watching where everybody was sitting. And when he saw that, he told a parable, which is a story that helps us understand how God wants us to behave. Today, you kids are sitting in the place of honour, in the very front row. And you'll come forward to receive your communion first, before everybody else. And after the service, there's going to be a really big party to help us remember and celebrate this very important and special day. Today, you are invited to sit in the place of honour. But next week, you'll be back sitting where you normally do. So today, you are the focus of attention. It is your special day. You'll receive your communion first, receive a certificate to mark this occasion. And later, as I say, a party for everyone. But next Sunday, it will be normal again, with one important difference. That is that you'll be receiving communion next Sunday for the second time, as I hope you will for the rest of your lives. It's very important for you this day, and it's wonderful for us as a congregation to have all of you here to celebrate communion. It is the biggest celebration of this kind we've ever had at Epiphany for many years, and certainly for as long as I've been rector. For those of you counting, it's 18 years today. I know you all remember. So a day like today, I want to share with you something that hopefully you'll remember. Something that will stay with you not just next week, not just next month, or even next year. It's an old story about a priest who was talking to somebody in their congregation. That person was complaining about the church services. He felt that if they just sang a couple of good hymns and there was a good sermon, all the rest was just words. But the priest said to the man, actually the service is not for you, it's for God. When we come to church, we do our best to sing and to pray to the best of our ability. But what a church service for is not for us, but for God. If we get something out of it, fine. But if not, let's remember it's for God. So as you young people in the first two rows, this side and that side, as you prepare to receive communion for the first time, and to the rest of the congregation, I'd say, this service is not for you, it's for God. We should do all we can to worship God to the best of our ability. But what we get out of this service is not as crucial as remembering that this service, as every service, is for God. As a bonus, and if you like biblical quotes, which I'm sure you all do, we only need to look to the second reading. It includes those words, "The Lord is my helper, I will not be afraid." So I say to you in those first two rows, today and every day, remember that God is your helper. Therefore, you have no reason to be afraid. Amen.